What up, fight fans? Welcome back to the MMA channel with me, Marisol. Today we're going to be talking about how Conor McGregor has solidified his legacy without actually retiring from the fight game. So let's get into it. So before we can really talk about anything else related to Conor McGregor and his legacy, we have to acknowledge his iconic trash talking. When he came into the UFC, he brought along his trash talking and it was entertaining, it was iconic, he was cocky, but he was hilarious. We loved to hear what he had to say. It made our nights essentially when it came to the press conferences and what have you. But he was also able to back that up, which I'll get into a little later. But one of the really important things when it comes to his trash talking isn't necessarily that it made us love him or that it made us love to hate him, but it's the fact that it introduced us into this new era of entertainment. Now, we can argue as to whether or not we're leaving that era or that it's still pretty much entrenched into what we do, but we cannot deny the fact that since Conor McGregor and his enigmatic trash talking, that we now cannot have a fight on the main card and us actually care about it without there being some story. And there can't be a story around the fight unless there is some great trash talking going around it. Some sort of rancor, animosity between the fighters, which is usually done via the trash talking. And all of that is because of Conor McGregor and how he built up his fights, built up the hype around himself and around his fights because of his trash talking. Secondly, he did have some key fights that catapulted him up into the championship levels and very, very quickly. So Conor McGregor debuted in the UFC in 2013. In that same year, he fought against Max Holloway and won. The following year in 2014, he fought against Dustin Poirier and won. And then the following year, he fought Chad Mendes for the interim featherweight championship and won. And then that same year in 2015, in December of 2015, he fought Jose Aldo for the featherweight championship belt and won in spectacular fashion. The knockout essentially heard around the world, that freak knockout that happened at the very beginning of the first round that nobody was really anticipating. And that really just put him in the spotlight. It was a key moment for people to really recognize Conor McGregor for a great fighter that he is. And it's a beautiful moment in his legacy, in his history as a fighter in the UFC. But that is not where he stopped. That wasn't quite enough for Conor McGregor and for what he could achieve in the UFC, because the very following year in 2016, Conor McGregor fought against Eddie Alvarez for the lightweight championship and won, effectively becoming the first ever champ. Now, not only do we have now Conor McGregor as the first double champ in the UFC, the first fighter in the UFC to hold two belts simultaneously, which is amazing in and of itself. But there's so much more behind it than just the fact that it happened, that he had both of those belts at the same time. Because now what we have, because of Conor McGregor's achievement, is a whole new standard for all fighters when you think about success. What it means to be a successful fighter in the UFC has now changed because Conor McGregor became the champ. So we now have seen fighters clamor to have that same title of double champ. And since Conor McGregor, we have seen 3 fighters achieve that level of success. Right after Conor McGregor, we had Daniel Cormier become the heavyweight champion as well as the light heavyweight champion. And then after him, we had Amanda Nunes become the featherweight champion as well as the bantamweight champion. And then most recently, we had Henry Cejudo become the bantamweight champion, along with the flyweight champion. Now, I'm sure as time goes on, we'll see other fighters clamor for those as well, perhaps even in other divisions. But that measure of success as a fighter has officially changed because of Conor McGregor and his achievement. So the fourth piece that I'm going to talk about when it comes to Conor McGregor and his legacy is the fact that he transcended MMA. So the first way in which he did this was fighting Floyd Mayweather. He transcended MMA, he went into boxing, fought professionally in boxing for the first time against one of the greatest boxers of all time in Floyd Mayweather. Conor McGregor lasted 10 rounds with Floyd Mayweather, which seemingly was just unheard of, especially for Conor McGregor, because people would often critique him as somebody who tends to gas out very quickly in MMA fights, which tend to only last 3 or 5 rounds. But he went 10 with Floyd Mayweather. So that was astounding and introduced him to other markets, as well as perhaps bringing even more fans into MMA as well. But he didn't stop there. He did have other business ventures, one of them being a clothing line, a designer clothing line called August McGregor, and then also, as we all know, his whiskey, Proper 12, and which has also done incredibly well. So not only has Conor McGregor been highly successful in the fight game, changed the standard and measure of success for fighters, but he has been highly successful in ventures outside of the UFC and outside of the fight game. But he is also looking to come back. He is looking to fight either in January or February of next year. So what he could potentially do and achieve and perhaps further establish his legacy is still to be seen. He may just do something else that is incredible and could also potentially change the fight game. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think there is more for Conor to achieve in the fight game? If so, what do you think that is? And if you don't think so, if you think he's already reached the pinnacles of what he can achieve, let me know as to why that is in the comments as well. As always, don't forget to like this video and to subscribe for more content. I'll be seeing you in the next one.